but we are mature enough to know if we need to stop.
Well, that's true.
I think it would be obvious if it's becoming too personal or whatever negative it would be. We would recognize that and say, well, okay, this didn't work.
Well, I think if we were to try something like that, try a game that would put everybody in competition. One game that I can think of off the top of my head that would work well, and the reason I say this is because Mark and I tried it, is Call of Cthulhu. If you play Call of Cthulhu and the game master gives everybody their own little, this is your secret plot. This is your secret
agenda.
Exactly. This is your secret nugget of information. And let me give you the example in game. My character was a farmer, and it was set during the beginning of World War II, and on my farm I had an area where I was hiding contraband. And I did not want the feds to know I was hiding contraband there. And then there was this event that happened in my field. All of a sudden these people started showing up to investigate it, and I'm trying to keep them away from my hidden stash of nylons and stuff. So, and my hooch and all that stuff that I had hidden, and tires. So,
and lots of copper and strategic metal.
Right. So, and I role-played that, to try and keep people away from my stuff. If we did a Call of Cthulhu game and I ran it, I would try doing something like that where I'd be like, okay, this is your secret agenda, your secret plot. Everybody would have one, and then everybody else would be like, you knew that you had one, so everybody else must have one also.
What I just thought of would make a fun campaign for something like this would be a Murder on the Orient Express Cthulhu-style, how to host your own murder kind of thing.
Oh, hold it. I've got that covered.
I
have that covered.
Okay.
I have an Aces and Eights adventure that takes place on a train.
Can we add 100% more Cthulhu in that?
I have honestly thought about, I read some short stories years ago in a science fiction and fantasy digest that I used to get, and it was an Old West setting, but it had fantasy elements injected into it, and it was really cool.
It was Weird
I think
West.
Cthulhu would
Weird
work
West.
really well with Old West.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would be really cool.
He was writing those stories not long after the fact, so it wouldn't be too hard to just kind of...
Who are you talking about?
H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were
20s, I think.
you were familiar with the stories I was talking about.
No.
And I can't recall who that author was right off the top of my head, but
It becomes a completely different kind of game.
Yeah, and it does kind of break away from the status quo of what we do all the time, making a good group and going. Even if we have a couple shady guys and things like that. In general, we do the cookie cutter. This is the group. We have the mission. We do the mission.
what's the World of Darkness setting where you're basically playing campers?
Oh no, you're thinking it's
Not World of
slasher.
Darkness. Slasher. I think that would do pretty much the same thing.
Working on it.
I mean, it's like they say, I don't have to run faster than the bear. I just have to run faster than you.
Right.
Same goes for Jason Voorhees.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, you're not trying. It's, the other people aren't setting each other up so Jason kills them, because then eventually he's going to come for you.
Yeah, but if you can put enough of them between you and him until you can get away,
Get
sure.
to the boat.
Yeah.
So it's just a survival.
No, you don't go to the
lives
boat.
the longest.
Yeah,
No.
Go to the
exactly.
chopper.
You don't go to the boat. Never go to the boat.
Never go to the boat because he comes out of the water.
Right, exactly. And then they roll credits.
Right.
It scared me for years.
I know. I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm getting goose
won't
flesh.
watch that was 3, right? I won't watch the beginning of 3.
I don't remember which one it is.
I think it's 3.
Well, the end of 1, he comes out
Yes.
of the water.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Jaws came out of the water.
Yes, he did.
No, Jason Voorhees.
Jaws Voorhees.
Jaws.
Jason versus Jaws.
Oh, that would be awesome. What were we talking about?
Aaron was going to say something.
I was going to say, if we're going to talk about World of Darkness, I still think a vampire game would be a good game if you're going to try to go for player competition.
There'd definitely be a lot
No,
of
what
intrigue
I'm
there.
thinking of is I think there are games that have mechanics behind this concept. I know.
Yeah, maybe that should be a call-in thing. Not call-in, but a write-in thing.
The diceless game Amber is heavily based on player conflict, where you...
It's heavily based on choose your own adventures.
See, this is why I like Dan.
I don't understand why... I don't understand why
I'm all about the no dice, Dan.
Yeah, Mark doesn't want to play a game with no dice, yet he hates when he fails a roll. It makes no sense.
That's a good point.
But like in the Amber, whenever you're generating...
In Amber, you got to read 20 pages before you figured out you failed your roll.
No, not necessarily. But even in character generation, only one person can have the highest stat, and you're bidding on stats. Like, I really want strength, so I'm bidding build points against that stat. Or you have other people who are trying to bid
a
stats
fantasy
up.
draft.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's the kind of thing that would
You,
just set me
Aaron,
up a wall.
would love the character generation system in Amber. I guarantee it.
Competition when you get past character creation.
Well, then maybe the game is character creation, kind of like Aces and Eights. That's the best part is character
That's a good point.
creation.
Dan has a good point.
You know? Sometimes
that was a blast. Just doing that.
Well, Aces and Eights, it kind of sets it up for more character generation because as soon as your guy gets shot, you're done, and you have to make a new guy.
That's why they had to make character generation fun.
Or just do what Mark does: erase his name, and he's his brother.
That's right.
I didn't just erase his name.
I know you did.
I swapped a couple of stats around too.
Yeah, I know you did.
Maybe an inch taller.
Right. Yeah, Mark's always ongoing character creation during game. I had to tweak him a little bit this week. Really? I thought we were all just born this way. All that being said.
I also often screw up math and realize that I've been doing things horribly wrongly.
Don't we all?
All that being said, so we can say that at the time it's a pain, and you have multiple people derailing your story. Okay, Mike, do you find that these side things make it more difficult to run a game, or would you rather everybody do this and, like you said, let the campaign just kind of run itself?
Well, one, unlike all the games we were mentioning earlier, those are short-term games. I like the long-term games that then develop the intrigue, like you were saying earlier. You got to know these characters really well to do the betrayals and whatnot. So yeah, I prefer one person at a time betrayal. If everyone's betraying, then that's going to end up a short-term game.
So what you're saying is you don't want us to all of us to start emailing you our agendas weekly about what's going on behind the scenes.
You could do that, preferably one betrayal at a time. Is
It is not your turn.
easier to handle. Yeah.
And I can see what you say because
All I need is an email from Mike. It was like, nope. Sean's you already, so you got to wait till Sean's done.
No gangbanging.
So it would get really old if that happened all the time, though. If that became the norm, I think that would get really old.
Well, I think as it stands now, people are expecting it. I think everybody at this table, over a long enough timeline, knows it's going to happen. They may not necessarily know from where.
Well, in our pirate campaign, I was already just waiting for what plots and schemes that Eric was going to come up with. And I had already started to fall into that role of stooge.
His lack.
What do you want me to do?
Well,
I think the plots are different than betrayal.
But in this,
I think it's fine for a lot of characters to have plots.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just his character.
I am pretty sure that his plots were going to end in betrayal. I'm just saying. No offense, Eric.
Or you're going to be a patsy, one of the two.
Right. Well, being the brown skinned guy in the group, I'm pretty sure that my character was going to be the patsy. So
yeah, my only concern about this is that my character has a 4 intelligence and
he will live longer
not
than
smart
anyone.
enough to plot it. Unfortunately, yes, he probably will.
Yes, we will not let Pickles die.
But you see, you could betray people and be innocent.
Right.
This is true. You plead ignorance.
I already accidentally
my guy got passed out.
got the captain addicted to hallucinogens.
That was very
That was a
fun.
very small betrayal because my guy picked the lock and was getting the treasure and then passed out, and Dan took it all.
It was a perfect opportunity. I couldn't
So there was
run
a
it past.
small betrayal right
That
there.
was a piratey thing to do.
Yeah, it was very piratey.
it's not
of me.
betrayal if you don't know about it.
Yeah, I think betrayal is a conscious decision by the player to.
It has to be.
Well, obviously.
I mean, you can't. I mean, when you're playing a
That's a classic fork of the road,
What if Mike forced it? What if it's a complete hypothetical.
That would be
Oh,
interesting.
no, this is about
It
as-
would be interesting.
Right. What
Dan.
if so you and Eric, Jason and Eric are aligned in the Sea Princes kind of at this time.
Loosely.
What if Mike threw in some let's say maybe
Something to motivate them.
something to like a woman who got in between the two of you, maybe like your sister or a mutual love interest, What if Mike forced that betrayal? How would that go?
Well, I think that's actually happened before, I think.
It would be see the thing is, and betrayal in role playing games is a lot different than betrayal in real life because you can be emotionally attached to a character, but there is nowhere near the amount of emotional attachment you have to real people.
Well, okay,
You
but
know.
what I'm saying is, do you think it would be?
I think I'd rather hang out with Fuzz than Woodshead.
Would it have less gravity to it if Mike forced it, as opposed to you coming up with the idea to do it?
Oh, come on. Fulton was forced by Eric.
Yeah. Well, that would be an example.
I either turned around and gave the item to Lofweir, or I was going to get eaten by Lofweir.
What I did, what the end of that, and anybody who I can't think of the name of the adventure off the top of my head.
Never deal with the dragon?
Survival of the fittest. If you plan on playing or running Survival of the Fittest, this is a spoiler alert. at the very end of this adventure,
For Shadowrun, you're talking
for
about.
Shadowrun, at the very end of the adventure, it's assumed that you are playing this adventure straight out, and that you would give the item at the end, would give that to Hataspi. But because of what we had established in the campaign, there were different loyalties. So what I did was I made Aaron make that conscious choice. Am I going to give this to Hataspi and thereby betraying my employer?
Lowfear, another dragon.
Another dragon. But that's what the rest of the group wants. Or do I give it to my employer and screw over my group? He had to make that choice, and that was kind of what I was playing on, was testing his loyalties, and that you don't really get to do that very often in a game.
And if we had never listened to Woodside in the first place, we wouldn't have been put in the position.
But that's why Shadowrun is perfect for that kind of setting, or for that kind of situation, though.
If you build it up to be that way, if those were starting characters, that would have never have happened.
It's
Well,
almost
no, I agree. Yeah, that's
a
true.
once in a campaign thing. It would be like watching the whole Lord of the Rings series, and then at the very end, Frodo decides, "No, I'm not going to throw the ring into the fire."
And puts it on,
Yeah.
and says, "I'm with you, Dark Lord."
Because realistically, that's what would have happened.
He did do that, at least in the movie. Griswold came
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
Gollum?
Clark W. Griswold.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Clark. Morning, neighbor. Full.
That would have been a better movie.
That is an interesting mashup.
Wow. I can't wait to see the
Taking
picture for this one.
One does not take the family truckster to Mordor.
Wow.
I think there's a cosplay in there for Jason.
I could do a Rusty Gollum mashup. Rusty Griswold.
So right, your betrayals don't happen at the beginning of a story.
No.
But that's a great idea.
Maybe in the middle.
That would actually be kind of cool. First level characters, one guy shivs the other guy in the alley and leaves him behind.
No. What about establishing something, being able to have the willpower to come up with a plot in the beginning of your character's generation, and see it to come to fruition levels later? That would be really hard to do.
It would be hard.
Yeah, but we can't do that now because we only play 3 months at a time.
Well, then you come back to the game.
Yeah,
That's
which
what we
are
got to
doing.
make sure we do is we go back to the characters.
What are we
'cause that's
pla-
really what caused us to like the epic level characters so much as we kept going back to them.
What are we playing tonight,
Multiple
by the way?
times.
Sea Princess.
Princess.
Ah, okay. See, we're going back to it, Dan.
Jury's still out.
He's holding out to the very end.
No, Mike, you were talking about how you can't start out with a plot like this. You can't start out with these intentions. You have to. I think you were going
Grow
toward
into
that
it.
Because
build.
it could grind the campaign to a halt too early. So you want to do
Well,
that
that's bad
something
for
like that
you, but not
in
us.
the middle of a campaign or definitely at the end. If you do it at the end, then it's more memorable.
It's bad for us if that character dies.
At the beginning of a campaign, you really don't know what the campaign's going to be.
Right.
I mean, the game master does, but as a
Right.
player, all you can really do is make a character and show up.
Yeah, and you don't know
Right.
how the other characters are going to be, so you don't know if your character's personality is going to conflict with another character.
Well,
so you have to purposely step out with just a character
what little-
designed to screw other people over if
Right.
that's what you want to do.
Just what little bit we've played of Sea Princess, I see this already happening.
Oh yes,
You know what I mean? It's gonna happen.
I think it's definitely the nature
I
of
mean,
a pirate.
Pirates? Yeah, I mean, come on.
I'm sorry, privateer
Yeah.
campaign.
Yeah, we're not pirates. What are you talking about?
I'm going to have my own ship
Depends on
one way or
what
another.
It depends on what. Well, see, now that's an interesting thought. That's a way that is a direction that this campaign could go. It could end up
Good.
4 captains.
Piracy.
No, I personally.
Pickles will never be a captain.
Pickles, captain of his own tongue.
You don't know what'll happen.
Oh, hold it. You don't seriously think he meant you as captain over me, do you?
Well, yeah. It was like,
No, I personally see all 4 of you in a cooking pot myself. So.
Could be. Could be. Wouldn't that be a great turn of events?
Just get close enough to my beach.
How did we end up here?
Araxo versus the volcano.
What's my name? What's my name?
Finally push you so far you crack.
I haven't seen Joe versus Volcano in years.
It's
my God.
still terrible.
I'm sure it is, but
It was terrible in just the right way, as I recall.
I don't think so.
So, but something that you said. Some people are comfortable with the role of betrayer and comfortable with the role of plotter, and some aren't.
Jason is continually pointing at Eric. That's what the uncomfortable side.
I'm definitely not comfortable with that.
And the thing is, if you would do that and not break down and tell somebody you were doing it, because I know that's what you would do.
I wouldn't make it through a
I
night.
can't hold it back anymore, man. I can't.
Because that's what I sound like too. Kiss my ass.
If you would do it, that betrayal would be much more poignant than something I would do.
I would feel so
So
bad, though.
we have expected from Eric. We definitely expected from Woodside.
I think we've learned a lot about you guys.